challenged myself to make a Roblox game in 2 weeks. You see, it's always been my dream to create a decent and playable Roblox game ever since I played Roblox more than a decade ago. But it just never happened. I would always have game ideas and worked on them for a little while, but then I just abandoned them out of nowhere. They would just rot in the basement of my Roblox studio. Part of it was because I'm always busy with school and there was just too much work for me to actually focus and make a game. Well, that all ends now because I'm on holiday from college and I have a few months to do anything I want to do. It's the perfect time to sit down, lock in, and make a game. You might be asking why my goal is 2 weeks. It's because I think 2 weeks is a good enough time to make a good game, but not too long that I'll start losing interest on working on it. Also, before I show you how I made the game, I'm not sure if I have enough footage of me actually making the game because 1, I have limited space on my laptop, and 2, recording on OBS while using Roblox Studio makes it super laggy. Other than that, I reviewed some of the footage again and they were very laggy, so sorry if it's not good. Anyways, that's enough yapping from me, so let's see how I made this Roblox game in a nutshell. As a great developer once said, you can't really make a game if you don't have a game idea. That being said, I have to think of an idea. Lately, I've been having fun playing this one Roblox game called Untitled Bakery. It's a game where you and a few other people bake different types of bread and pastries and sell it to people. I think it's a really refreshing concept and definitely a chill game to play by yourself or even with friends. I recommend you guys to play it if you haven't. So I'm gonna try to make a game similar to that, but with a different element, of course, so I'm not copying. I try to think of another food other than bread and I don't know why, but the first thing that comes in mind is fish and chips. And the more I thought about it, the more interesting it sounded. After a brainstorming session, I've come up with a game plan. There's gonna be a maximum of 4 players on the server. Their task is to keep the fish and chips establishment alive and not go bankrupt. Every now and then, a customer will come up to the store and order a random item. The players will then have to cook what the customer wants using the available ingredients, which are potatoes and fish. However, in order to get the fish, you must first fish the fish. Of course, there's gonna be more features in the game later on, but for now, that's the rough sketch I had. To get a head start, I quickly made a map for my game. It's going to be a fish and chip store on a pier. Now, I'm not the most skilled at building on Roblox, so I just made a simple design, and to cover up the fact that my builds are so ugly, I used a stud texture on them. First, we have the main area where the players can prepare their ingredients, the window for the customers, and the storage room in the back to store the ingredients. I decided to work on the fishing system because I think that's one of the highlights of the game. It's a fish and chip shop after all, so I punched a hole through the floor of the storage room and started coding the fishing system. I made the fishing system similar to fish, so every time the player tries to fish, prompts will pop up on their screen and they'll have to click it before it gets too long and the prompt disappears. To make it look better, I decided to add a fishing rod decoration onto the player's hand when they fish, along with changing the camera angle. I started working on the server's information system. It's basically a model script that contains all the store's information, like how much ingredients and cash the store has, and even how long the server has been up. Now, every time a player successfully catches a fish, it'll be added to the server's information. I also made it so that the player can pick up the ingredients, but there's one catch. A player can only pick up one ingredient at a time. This means that if a player already has a fish in their inventory, they can't grab another fish. This is just to make the game much harder to play and prevent trollers from wasting resources. Now that the player can pick up ingredients, it's time to make the cooking system. I haven't explained it yet, but there's 4 different tools that the player can use to make the food items in this game. If you notice from the first day, I changed up some of the tools. The first tool is the cutting board, and this is where the players can cut the fish they caught into a fish fillet. The second tool is the bowl of batter, which is where the player can batter up the fish fillet. Next is the potato cutter, which is where the player can chop the potatoes into raw fries, or chips as they call it in the UK. Finally, we have the fryer, which is where the player can fry all the ingredients once they're all prepared. But remember that if you fry the food for too long, it'll be burned. The player will have an option to fry a food item they want to make. If they don't have the right ingredients, then the fryer won't cook anything for them. Right now, there's no animations yet, so it looks really boring, but I'll work on that another day. The player also needs to serve the food that they've just made, which is why we need a boxing system. And no, it's not that type of boxing. Just like the fryer, I made it so that the player can choose what food items they want to box, and if they have the required ingredients, it will be destroyed and replaced with a box that contains the ingredients they chose to put inside beforehand. All I did today was make a custom avatar that the player will use when they join the game. I had no idea what to make, so I just made a noob with black pants and slapped a big head smile onto it. I didn't realize that this was the same face they used in Untitled Bakery, so I'm really sorry if I copied too much. Other than that, I also made some animations for the cooking system. Now, I'm not the best at animating either, but I think this isn't too bad. We finally reached the first week of this challenge, which means we're supposed to be 50% done with the game already. Because of that, I need to start working on another aspect that's the highlight of the game, which is the NPC system. First, I wanted to make the game more lively, so I added background NPCs that will walk past the shop that would spawn randomly. I also got this idea from Untitled Bakery, so thanks to them. Then I started working on the interactable NPC system. Basically, an interactable NPC will spawn from the spawn part, walk up to the store, and generate an order and the quantity randomly. The NPC will also chat their order, and if the player missed it, they can always see the order screen to the left side of the serving counter. If the player takes too long to finish their order, the NPCs will get angry, leave, and decrease a certain amount of money from the store. Honestly, this is the only NPC system I successfully made without bugs, so this is a big win for me. Alright, by now I'm basically done with the core aspect of the game, which is fishing, cooking, and serving. For the rest of the challenge, I plan on making additional features that would make the core aspect of the game much more fun and interesting. I started with making angry animations to the NPC because why not? I also made it so that whenever a player completes an order, the store will get money based on the order and quantity. All the server's information will also be displayed on a bulletin board next to the box counter. The last thing I did today was make a main menu screen that will appear when the player joins the game. But for me to do that, I need a logo for my game, and to make a logo for my game, I needed a name for my game. I searched for other words to call a fish and chip store, and it turned out it was a Chippie pub. Then I searched up the most British sounding name, and I ended up with the name Murphy. By using all the brain power I have to make a design with all the information I gathered, here are the results. And I think it's perfect. I ended up pixelating the whole thing in the end so that it fits better into the game, and here's what my start screen looks like. Also, credits to this guy named Jetty for making kiwi soda, which is the font I'm using. The next thing to do in my game is to make a customization system. It would be a boring game if everyone looked the same. So I'm going to make the player be able to customize their hats, hair, and even skin color. But honestly, I didn't really do that much since I was outside for almost the whole day, so I just made a few hat models and called it a day. I also used this plugin called Asset Creator to make these models into actual wearable hats. And I think they look alright for someone who can't model. This is the day where I got a lot of stuff done, at least for the customization system. So for the first day of the game, I luckily made a copy of the store underneath the map for future uses. Now it came in handy because I'm using it as the customization menu background. I made a little round pedestal for the player's avatar along with the fully working UI. I used viewport frames to make the hat icons and a module script containing information for all of the hats. Now, the UI switches depending on what hat the player is currently viewing. A job well done if you ask me. I got a lot of stuff done today too, and it's been a productive few days for me. First, I polished and finished the customization system so that now the players can actually buy hats and equip the ones they've bought. I also removed the hair and skin color customization because I was too lazy to add that. Next, I made a transition so that the player can go back to the main menu after finishing their customization. Then I reworked a lot of the UI and also made a restock system where players can restock the ingredients. Also, you guys have been seeing onions as one of the ingredients this whole time, but in the end I decided to scrap that idea because I'm too lazy. I also forgot to mention that one of these days I made the player information system and the saving system, but I forgot which day it was, so yeah. Either way, it was painful to do because I really hate managing saving systems in Roblox. Plug! This game would be boring, hard, and pointless without an upgrade system, so I quickly made that. Now players can work hard earning money for the store and buy upgrades to help their overall performance. You can also see I added a few UIs on the left side showing the player how much cash the store currently owns, along with a button to view the player's own profile, but I'll work on that sometime later. Lastly, I realized that you can't throw away burnt food, so I made a trash can. Problem solved. Not a lot of things were done today in terms of the features, but I took time today to polish out the game and make it bug-free. Things like handling when the player resets or other things that could cause errors. It's the final day of the challenge, and honestly I feel like there are still a lot of things that I want to add to my game, and I don't think I'll have time to finish it, but let's just see where it goes. My game is feeling kind of bland right now, and it's because it's missing sound effects. Sound effects, in my opinion, are an underrated aspect of a game because without it, a game just feels off and missing something. One of these sound effects is a background music. Now I wanted to just rip off some other person's music, but it would feel unoriginal, especially since I've been copying a lot of Untitled Bakery's gameplay this whole time. So I decided to try to make an OST for my game. Now I'm not skilled at music theory, but I have learned a thing or two before, so I hopped on BandLab and downloaded a piano app on my phone to search for some chords and melodies for my song. After watching this YouTube video, which you guys should definitely watch if you try to make songs, I ended up with this prototype. Honestly, I think this is going somewhere, and with the help of my musically talented girlfriend who perfected the song for me, we ended up with this final version of the song. Cooking. Everyone please type thank you to me in the comments. Even after all that effort, the time finally came and 14 days have passed by, which means I technically failed the challenge. But that won't stop me from finishing the game. It's so close to finishing, and I think I just need to add a few more additional features. Other than that, the main game is basically finished. So I think I'll let myself slide, you know, a day or two more wouldn't hurt, right guys? So for the last 2 days, I worked on making the badges, making the tutorial system, tests playing in multiplayer to find bugs. Spoilers, there were a few bugs. Fixed saved bugs, made a group for the game, made donation game passes for the game, which you guys should definitely consider because I want Roblox. And I also added a new hat, but if you guys want to find out what it is, consider playing Murphy's Chippie Pop on Roblox because it's finally out. I know it took me 2 days longer than the initial 2-week goal I had in mind, but I learned a lot from this experience. It was fun, I finally made a decent working game in Roblox that's on brain-rot swap, and I'm satisfied with the results. Please do check the game out because other than this video, I didn't put any advertising on it because this is all just for my personal learning process. By the time this video releases, it would probably be around, I would say, 5 to 7 days after Murphy's Chippie Pub went public because editing a video is not easy at all, guys. If you guys made it this far into the video though, thank you so much for watching.